Welcome to the deep dive. You sent over some really fascinating material about how companies work to get our attention and, ultimately sell us things.
Yeah, it's a world we're all swimming in, right?
Absolutely. So we thought it'd be great to unpack the strategies they use, kind of like getting a peek behind the curtain at the art and science of it all.
Exactly. We want to go a bit deeper than just surface level today. Understand the engine driving so many messages we see constantly.
Right. And to guide us through the sources, we've sort of mapped out 7 key areas. First up is counting and knowing your customers, like you said, the detective work.
Uh-huh.
Then smart targeting,
Yeah.
finding the right people. Third, making ads that click, basically how they grab our eyeballs.
Yeah, the creative bit.
Fourth is using robots to help, how computers automation fit in.
Right.
And number 5, making it easy to buy, getting us from, oh, cool, to actually buying it.
That crucial step.
Sixth is checking if it worked. Did the ads actually do anything? The report card. Sort of.
Measuring success.
Yeah. And finally, we'll look ahead with dreaming big. What's next in this wild world of selling?
Sounds like a good plan.
Okay, let's dive straight into that first one, counting and knowing your customers. It really feels like the foundation, doesn't it? Companies needing to figure out who we are, what we like, what we buy, putting the pieces together.
That's a perfect analogy. And, when they get this right, the benefits are huge.
Like what?
Well, take a candy company. If they see, maybe through sales data, that sour flavors are suddenly really popular,
Yeah,
they can make more sour candy. They're meeting a need, a want directly,
makes sense.
and it helps them find interested people more easily. A gaming company putting ads on gaming sites. Pretty obvious, but effective.
Right, reaching the right audience.
Exactly, which leads to smarter ad spending. They're not wasting money showing, say, toy ads in magazines read by people who don't buy toys.
Yeah, that seems logical.
Yeah.
So what happens if they don't do this? If they skip that detective work? What are the consequences?
Oh, they risk missing major clues. Imagine a shop only making chocolate when everyone's suddenly asking for gummies. They're just not listening.
They're missing the trend.
Totally. And wasting money is a big one. Advertising, I don't know, cat food to people who definitely don't own cats.
Happens all the time, feels like.
It does. And they just might not reach the right people at all. Think science kits being advertised only during cartoons, missing the parents who actually buy them.
Right, targeting the wrong demographic completely. So here in the U.S., what are the common ways they gather this info? It's got to be more than just asking, right?
Oh, yeah, much more. Loyalty programs are huge. Supermarket cards.
Got one in my wallet.
Well, that's tracking your purchases, giving them tons of data on your habits.
Okay,
Online surveys are another one, just straight up asking about interests, what you like.
seen those.
And then there's website tracking. Those infamous cookies, right? They remember what you looked at on a site.
Yep, the reason I see ads for shoes I looked at weeks ago.
That's the one. It helps them build a picture of your interests.
Okay, so thinking about competitors.
Mm.
What kind of mistakes do companies make here when they mess up this knowing the customer part?
Well, a big one is just guessing, assuming they know what people want instead of, actually looking at the data or asking them.
Operating on a hunch.
Exactly. Another is showing the same generic ad to absolutely everyone, irrelevant ads.
Annoying and wasteful.
Yep. And also just not adapting, sticking with old products or styles when tastes have clearly changed, like still pushing something totally outdated.
Okay, so for someone just listening to this, how does understanding this help us? We're not running companies.
Well, just knowing that companies are trying to gather this info about you makes you more aware, right?
I guess so.
You become more conscious of the data you share, maybe online or through those loyalty cards. It helps you make more informed choices about, the services you use or the products you buy. And you start noticing why you see certain ads. It's usually not random.
That's a good point. Makes you think a bit more critically. Okay, let's shift to the second area, smart targeting. So
Yep.
they've got the data. Now what? How do they use it to find the right folks?
Exactly. This is about precision aiming. Like, if you're throwing a pizza party, you invite the people who actually like pizza, right? Not just everyone on the street.
Good analogy.
Gotcha.
So what are the big wins when companies nail this smart targeting?
Well, first, they obviously reach the people most likely to buy. More pizza eaten at the pizza lovers party, basically.
Right, higher conversion rates.
Exactly. Second, they save money. They're not buying extra pizza, or rather showing ads to people who won't touch it. It's efficient.
Makes sense.
And third, they can tailor the message. Maybe energy drink ads for your sporty friends, art supply ads for the creative ones, different messages for different groups.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Mhm.
So the flip side, what happens if they don't target smartly? What goes wrong?
Well, your ads just get ignored mostly. Like showing an ad for football gear during a cartoon about ponies, it's just
Right.
irrelevant. Exactly. It leads to wasted ad money. Like throwing that huge party with food nobody actually likes. And honestly, can just annoy people. Getting constant ads for, say, diapers when you don't have a baby, it's intrusive and irritating.
Definitely felt that one. So how do they do this targeting in the U.S.? What are the actual methods?
Demographic targeting is a classic. Showing different ads based on age, gender, where you live, like maybe older folks see retirement planning ads.
Right.
Then there's interest-based targeting. This is huge online, based on what you browse, what you like on social media, skateboard ads if you watch skate videos.
So cookies again?
Pretty much, yeah.
Right.
And then there's something called addressable TV advertising. It's kind of wild.
What's that?
It means different households watching the same TV show on the same channel might actually see different commercials.
Seriously. Wow. Okay, that's specific. So where do competitors mess up with targeting? What are the common mistakes?
A big one is still using a one-size-fits-all approach. Just blasting the same ad out to everyone doesn't really work anymore.
Inefficient.
Very. Another is just not really knowing who their customer is, like trying to sell toys to teenagers who've clearly moved on.
Bad research.
Yeah. Or sticking to really old, untargeted methods, like only using newspaper ads when their audience is all online.
Gotcha. So for us, the listeners, how does knowing about smart targeting change how we see things?
Well, it helps you realize the ads you see aren't random noise, usually. They're often picked for you.
Right.
So you can start thinking, okay, why am I seeing this ad? What data points about me, my browsing, my demographics might have triggered it? It gives you a better sense of that whole digital ecosystem.
That's really insightful. Makes you feel less like it's just random bombardment. Okay, part 3, making ads that click. So we found the right people. Now, how do we get them to actually pay attention in this sea of information?
Exactly. It's like trying to get your friend's attention on a really crowded, noisy playground. Your ad has to stand out somehow, cut through the clutter.
So if they manage that, if they create ads that really click, what are the main advantages?
Well, obviously, people actually notice the product or service more. The ad doesn't just blend in.
Get seen.
Right. Second, the message itself is more memorable. A clever or funny or really striking ad sticks in your head way longer than a boring one.
True.
And ultimately, if people notice it and remember it, they're more likely to actually consider buying it down the line.
Makes sense. So what if the ads don't click? If they're just bland? What's the downside?
Well, the biggest downside is they just get ignored. Completely invisible, people scroll right past or tune out.
All that effort wasted.
Totally. All the creative work, the money spent placing the ad, poof, gone. And even if you target it perfectly, if the ad itself is a dud, you won't see any increase in sales or interest.
Right, the final piece wasn't there. So what are the tricks? What strategies do U.S. companies use to make these ads click?
Oh, they're classics. Catchy slogans, jingles. You know those little tunes that get stuck in your head for days?
Oh, yeah. Annoyingly effective sometimes.
Exactly. Humor is huge, too. Or emotion. Ads that make you laugh or maybe pull at the heartstrings a bit. They create a connection.
Yeah, they'll stick with you.
And definitely visually appealing design. Bright colors, cool images, really slick videos, especially online where things move so fast. Gotta catch the eye.
I can picture ads using all of those.
Yeah.
So where do companies go wrong here? What are the common mistakes in trying to be creative and grab attention?
Creating something really boring or generic is probably the biggest one. Just blends right in.
Wallpaper ads?
Kind of, yeah. Another is not really getting their audience's sense of humor or style. What one group finds funny, another might find offensive or just lame.
Sure.
And sometimes just using really outdated formats, like trying an old-style print ad approach in a dynamic digital space, it just doesn't land.
Okay, so for us listening, how can we use this? How does knowing about making ads click help?
Well, you can start noticing what actually grabs your attention. What makes an ad memorable for you personally? Is it the humor, the visuals, the music? By kind of consciously analyzing that, you get better at spotting the techniques companies are using. Makes you a bit more savvy about how they're trying to persuade you.
Like deconstructing the magic trick a bit.
Exactly.
Interesting. All right, let's move to topic number 4. Using robots to help. Sounds a bit sci-fi, but I guess it means automation in advertising.
Absolutely. Automation using computers and specialized software has totally changed the game, made things way faster, much more efficient.
So what are the big pluses of having these, well, robots on the ad team?
Speed and placement, especially online. These systems can analyze tons of data instantly to decide the best time and place to show an ad.
Wow.
And they allow for incredibly precise targeting because they can crunch all that data much faster than a human could, identifying just the right little audience segments.
More efficient?
Yeah, the whole buying and showing process is just streamlined. It frees up the human marketers to think about, bigger strategy or the creative side.
Makes sense. So what about companies that aren't using this automation much? What are the drawbacks?
Well, everything's slower. Buying ad space, placing it, it's more manual, more labor intensive.
More room for error, too, I bet.
Definitely. And they can miss opportunities, like
Yeah.
not getting an ad in front of the right person at the exact right moment when they might be interested. Automation helps nail that timing.
So can you give some concrete examples? How are U.S. companies actually using this automation?
Programmatic advertising is probably the biggest example. That's the automated buying and selling of online ad space. It happens in milliseconds.
Okay.
Algorithms decide based on who's visiting the page, what the page is about, all sorts of things.
Right.
Automated social media posting is another, using tools to schedule posts when their audience is most likely to be online and engaged.
Yeah, I've heard of those tools.
And then just the algorithms on platforms like Google or Facebook, they decide which ads you see based on their automated analysis of you and the advertiser's goals.
It really is happening behind the scenes constantly. So what mistakes do companies make with automation? Is it foolproof?
Oh, definitely not foolproof. One mistake is still trying to buy ad space manually for everything. It's just often slower and more expensive now.
Sticking to old ways.
Yeah. Another is being too slow to react to trends because they don't have that real-time automated analysis. They miss shifts in what people are talking about or doing online,
Right.
and sometimes they just don't take full advantage of the sophisticated targeting that automation allows. They use the tools, but maybe in a very basic way.
I see. So for us listeners, how does understanding this automation stuff apply to our daily online lives?
Well, realizing that so much of what you see online, especially ads, is driven by these automated systems. It helps you appreciate the speed and the personalization you experience,
Right.
but it also maybe makes you think more critically about why you're seeing what you're seeing. Knowing an algorithm chose that ad for you based on data. It's not just random.
Yeah, definitely gives you a different perspective. Okay, area number 5, making it easy to buy.
Yeah.
So the ad worked, got attention, now what? Making the sale easy seems key.
Absolutely critical. You've got their interest. Now you need to make that jump from, oh, that's cool, to, okay, I'm buying it, as smooth and quick as possible. Remove the friction.
Right. So what are the big advantages for companies that really nail this? Make buying super easy.
Well, number one, higher sales.
Mhm.
Simple as that. Convenience drives purchases. If it's easy, people are more likely to follow through.
Less drop-off.
Exactly. Second, it makes the connection between the ad and the sale much clearer. If someone clicks an ad and buys right away, you know that ad worked. Easier to track results.
Good point.
And third, just a better customer experience. Nobody likes a frustrating checkout process. Make it smooth, people are happier, maybe come back.
Definitely. So conversely, what happens when buying is hard or confusing? What are the negative consequences?
Well, people lose interest, they might get distracted, or just give up if it's too complicated. They forget about the product.
Abandoned cart.
Tons of abandoned carts.
Mm.
It also makes it really hard to track which ads actually led to a sale if the path is all convoluted.
Muddy data.
Right. And ultimately, you just lose sales. People will go somewhere else where it's easier to buy, even if they liked your ad initially.
Yeah, I've done that. So what are the specific tactics companies use now in the U.S. to make buying easier?
Oh, buy now. Buttons are everywhere online, right? One click, maybe two, and you're done. Super direct.
Standard now, almost?
Pretty much. Shoppable social media posts are getting huge too. Seeing something on Instagram or TikTok and being able to buy it right there from the post.
Very seamless.
Yeah. And QR codes in ads, like in magazines or posters, scan it with your phone, takes you straight to the product page. Bridges offline and online.
Convenient. So where do companies trip up here? What are the mistakes at this easy buy stage?
Sometimes the ad itself just doesn't have a clear way to buy. Like a great ad, but where do I get it? No clear link or call to action?
Frustrating.
Very. Another is just a clunky, long, confusing online checkout. Too many steps, asking for too much info.
Kills the momentum.
Exactly. And sometimes a disconnect between online ads and physical stores. You see an ad, go to the store, and they have no idea what you're talking about, or the online offer isn't valid there.
Creates confusion. Okay, so for us as consumers, how does thinking about easy purchasing help us?
Well, reflect on your own shopping. What makes it easy for you? What makes you want to bail on a purchase?
Hmm.
Noticing those things, the smooth checkouts, the annoying ones, helps you appreciate why companies focus on it so much. And maybe you choose retailers who make it easy for you.
Makes sense. Focus on your own experience. All right, sixth area, checking if it worked. The report card time.
Hmm.
How do companies figure out if all this advertising effort actually paid off?
Exactly. They need ways to measure. They can't just throw money at ads and hope for the best.
That,
They need to track performance.
right. So what are the main benefits for companies that are really diligent about tracking ad effectiveness?
Well, they figure out what's working and what's not. Which ads, which platforms are giving them the best results.
So they could do more of what works.
Precisely. It lets them optimize their spending, shift budget away from the duds towards the winners, get more bang for their buck.
Sure.
And it helps them prove the value of advertising internally. Justify the marketing budget to the higher-ups by showing concrete results.
The ROI justification. So what's the risk if they don't measure? If they just kind of wing it?
Huge risk of just wasting money, pouring cash into ads that do absolutely nothing.
Flying blind again.
Totally. And without measuring, they have no idea how to improve. They don't know why something failed or succeeded, so they can't learn from it.
Just guessing.
Yeah. And ultimately, they just don't know if they're hitting their goals. Are they actually increasing awareness, driving sales? Who knows if you don't measure?
Okay, so how do they measure? What are the common methods used in the US?
Tracking website clicks and conversions is fundamental for online ads. How many people clicked and how many of those clicks led to a sale or a sign up or whatever the goal was.
Digital metrics.
Right. Using unique promo codes or coupons is another way. If you run different codes in different ads, you can see which ones get used most.
Ties sales directly to ads.
Exactly. And sometimes it's as simple as asking customers directly, "How did you hear about us?" Basic, but can be really valuable feedback.
Direct attribution.
Hmm.
Okay. So where do competitors mess this up? What are the mistakes in measurement?
Well, just assuming it's working without actually checking. That's surprisingly common.
FOPE is a strategy.
Pretty much. Or just not having the right systems in place to track things properly. They want to measure, but the tech or process isn't there.
Can't connect the dots.
Right. And sometimes making big decisions based on gut feeling instead of the actual data. Oh, I feel like that TV ad campaign is working without any numbers to back it up.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
So for us listeners, how does knowing about this measurement aspect help us?
Well, it reinforces that companies are constantly analyzing what works. Those ads you see aren't just random shots in the dark. They're often the result of testing and data. So you can be a more discerning consumer. Approach advertising claims knowing there's supposedly data behind them. It makes you question things a bit more, perhaps. Be less easily swayed just by a flashy message.
Empowers you a bit, knowing they're watching the numbers. Okay, final area. Dreaming big. The future of selling. Sounds like things are always changing.
Constantly. The ad world never stands still. New tech, new platforms, new ideas pop up all the time. Companies are always looking for the next big thing to connect with people.
So what's the advantage for companies that really embrace this, that look ahead and dream big?
Well, they stay ahead of the curve. They might be the first to use a new, really effective advertising method, giving them an edge.
First mover advantage.
Exactly. They also discover totally new ways to reach customers, maybe through platforms or tech that didn't even exist a few years ago.
Finding new ponds to fish in.
Good way to put it. And crucially, it helps them adapt to how we change our behavior. As consumers shift how they use media or what they expect, forward-thinking companies adapt their advertising too, staying relevant.
Makes sense. So what's the risk for companies that don't look ahead, that resist change?
Well, they just get left behind. Competitors using newer, better strategies might steal their customers.
Become dinosaurs.
Pretty much. They miss out on effective new ways to connect, and their old advertising just becomes less and less effective as the world moves on. Irrelevant.
Okay. So what are some of these future-facing strategies? What are U.S. companies exploring now when they dream big?
Exploring new social media platforms is constant. Wherever people are gathering online, advertisers will follow, try and figure out how to engage there.
Like TikTok a few years ago or whatever comes next.
Exactly. There's also a lot of investment in augmented reality, AR, and virtual reality, VR, thinking about immersive ad experiences.
Placing virtual products in your room through your phone?
Stuff like that, yeah. And AI-driven personalized advertising is only going to get more sophisticated. Ads tailored very specifically to you, your mood, your context in real time.
Wow, the future is specific. So where do companies stumble when trying to prepare for this future? What are the mistakes?
Just resisting change is a big one. Sticking to what's comfortable, even when it's becoming obsolete,
Fear of the unknown.
maybe. Or just inertia. Another is not investing enough in R&D and understanding these new trends and technologies properly.
Not doing their homework on the future.
Right, and sometimes underestimating the potential of something new. Dismissing a new platform or tech as just a fad when it actually becomes mainstream.
Miss the boat.
Yeah.
Okay, last question for the listeners. How does thinking about this future stuff apply to us?
Well, just consider how technology might change your experience with advertising. Think about AR ads or super personalized AI ads. How might that feel? Being aware of these possibilities helps you develop a more informed view as these things roll out. You're not caught completely by surprise, and you can think critically about the implications.
Yeah, prepares you for what might be coming down the pipeline. Okay, that's a really fascinating look ahead. So just to wrap up quickly, we've gone through these 7 areas.
Yeah, from knowing the customer,
To targeting them smartly, grabbing their attention,
using automation, making buying easy.
measuring if it worked, and looking to the future. It's quite a journey.
It really is. And I think the main takeaway is just understanding these strategies gives you, a better lens for seeing how companies try to connect with us, influence us. It's happening all around us.
Absolutely. It's empowering knowledge, really. Helps you be a more savvy, more informed person navigating all these messages.
Definitely.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Which of these secrets, these strategies, do you notice most in your own life? And now that we've talked about them, will that change how you see those ads or experiences? Something to chew on.
Good question to end on.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful. Thanks so much for breaking it all down.
My pleasure. It was a great chat.
And thanks everyone for joining us on the Deep Dive. Welcome to the Deep Dive. You sent over some really fascinating material about how companies work to get our attention and, ultimately sell us things.
Yeah, it's a world we're all swimming in, right?
Absolutely. So we thought it'd be great to unpack the strategies they use, kind of like getting a peek behind the curtain at the art and science of it all.
Exactly. We want to go a bit deeper than just surface level today. Understand the engine driving so many messages we see constantly.
Right. And to guide us through the sources, we've sort of mapped out 7 key areas. First up is counting and knowing your customers, like you said, the detective work. Then smart targeting,
Yeah.
finding the right people. Third, making ads that click, basically how they grab our eyeballs.
Yeah, the creative bit.
Fourth is using robots to help, how computers automation fit in.
Right.
And number 5, making it easy to buy, getting us from, oh, cool, to actually buying it.
That crucial step.
6th is checking if it worked. Did the ads actually do anything? The report card, sort of.
Measuring success.
Yeah. And finally, we'll look ahead with dreaming big. What's next in this wild world of selling?
Sounds like a good plan.
Okay, let's dive straight into that first one, counting and knowing your customers. It really feels like the foundation, doesn't it? Companies needing to figure out who we are, what we like, what we buy, putting the pieces together.
That's a perfect analogy. And, when they get this right, the benefits are huge.
Like what?
Well, take a candy company. If they see, maybe through sales data, that sour flavors are suddenly really popular,
Yeah.
they can make more sour candy. They're meeting a need, a want directly,
Makes sense.
and it helps them find interested people more easily. A gaming company putting ads on gaming sites. Pretty obvious, but effective.
Right, reaching the right audience.
Exactly, which leads to